Hey guys, Kamikaze here. Wait, what? Kajol here? Actually? What in God's name? Anyway, this is just a little intro to say that this video is a follow-up to the one me and Cameron made where we reacted to a film called Nuclear, which Cameron made in 2016, and we decided we'd do it again but reacting to a film I made instead. So we actually recorded the footage for that video over 3 months ago now, but for some reason Cameron's stupid little iPad isn't able to process the footage, so this is just to say that I edited this footage instead. Not him, me, very important. I did all the work, you can thank me for that. But yeah, that's just to say that, and I guess I'll pass you on to the guy called Cameron, who is here now.
That is true. The man speaks the truth. Joel did in fact edit our reactions to the film, but don't worry. I'll still be giving my explanation of the events of the film, as well as my review at the end. So let's watch our reaction to Joel's film, Geo.
So in today's video, I will be joined by my co-star, a Crocodile.
Crocodile's taken my limelight here, really, guys.
Hello!
Hello!
Good morning!
Alright, let's redo this intro.
Hey guys, Kamikaze here, and in today's cruel video, we're gonna be reacting to 2011's Rio.
11.
Blue Sky Animation's 2011 animated adventure film.
This isn't making it in the video.
Rio.
We need to do a good intro. Remember the villain, Nigel
Farage.
I want to wish you a great Pog Day.
Yeah, he was the villain of Rio, don't you remember?
Was that the guy who was like... He's like a bird, but it's like all broken.
Yeah.
It's a broken bird.
Broken bird. Sometimes
So-
I feel like a broken bird.
So yeah, today's video we're gonna be reacting to the film Rio, which came out in 2011. Hello? I'm making a video. Geo? Geo? Not Rio. I wanted to watch the film about the two birds chained in the ankles. Rio. Geo. We're watching that film I made in 2017. Right. Okay, thanks for telling me. See you. So in the previous video, we reacted to Cameron's film Nuclear, which he did in 2016. It was a terrible film, horrible, insufferable film. I'm gonna show him how it's done. We're gonna be reacting to a film I made in 2017, and I find this really weird because I don't associate. I think it's embarrassing that I made this in 2017 because that's not that long ago, if I'm being honest.
It was many years ago.
It's like it's the same year as If Plants Were People, and
And
like,
you love that video, you're so proud
well, no,
of that
but
video.
at least a little bit of effort went into that. It's to be fair, I did make
I went
Geo.
into Geo.
I made we'll see.
3-hour film.
I haven't watched it in like a few years.
It's about
but
5 hours long. I think some effort went into it.
Geo was made in probably like March or April of 2017, and then my channel was made in like September. So it's like opposite ends of the year, but still, I don't sleep comfortably knowing Geo was made the same year as my YouTube channel. So we got the film ready to go. PG. What was G? It was Nuclear 12.
Yeah.
You
make films for babies.
No. How much do you remember about the plot?
I remember all of it.
Really?
Vivid detail. Every night I go into a vivid hallucination where I watch the whole film in my mind.
That must be horrible.
And then when I wake up, I relive Nuclear.
A few things. Question. Do you want different lights?
I don't know. Can you do different lights?
Work. Damn it. We could change it to fit a like mental state. You know how last time you surprised me with the shirt? Well, you tried to at least. I'm gonna have my own little prize.
Bucket hat.
Right.
Hmm?
Right.
I got this from Devon.
Okay.
Anyway.
Right.
Oh, I thought you put that shirt because it's like nuclear.
Yeah.
It's sort of genetic.
This is a Geo hat,
It's
is
sort
it?
of genetic hat, you know. So anyway, watching Geo, which came out in early 2017. It's rated PG, so make sure you got your parents with you. And that's what
I've got my parents with me.
I remember it does begin with like a banger of a track. I feel like the title
Does
cover.
it?
Okay.
Okay.
Well, should we go?
Yeah, let's
We
go.
going?
Let's do
Geo.
it.
Watching Geo. My
Geo.
film. Made by me. Magic Moments. That's my production company.
Yeah. So, our film opens with us meeting Dr. James, a scientist who introduces us to his latest invention, the Geo, or genetically engineered organism.
My finest invention. The Geo.
There he is. The titular Geo.
The Geo is developing quickly.
Is this the same? Couldn't be.
It's an authentic Geo prop.
Hang on.
Preserved from 2017.
I can taste the plastic.
I can taste the Geo. We then meet our antagonists, David McRule, aka David McCruel, and his second-in-command John, who break in and force James to show them the Geo.
You know who we are, and you know why we're here.
Me turning up your house for the Geo reaction.
The Geo, you moron.
Still you.
Me demanding what film we're gonna watch.
Look how big that Dr. James is compared to everyone
He's
else.
so tall. The difference between 5'11" and 6 foot.
Oh, I just got angina. We were talking about that earlier.
Yeah.
I just got it, like heart pain.
Oh.
We found out there's a Russian singer called Angina. Called Angina. You got shot. I used plasticine for blood there.
Nowhere near as good as ketchup. Nowhere near as good as
It does-
using mayo.
Ketchup or brown sauce.
Or Szechuan
Look at
sauce.
that walking, that's cool.
John, you can do the honors. Cut the cord. With pleasure, cutting the cord.
You get him.
Dad, is everything okay, boss? Carry on doing what you're doing.
Just cut the cord, John.
During the fighting, David is knocked into the Geo, releasing it from its containment. So, assuming that it's dead, they leave, but not before shooting James again.
You monster! It's escaped!
It's alive!
If you directed this,
If I
you would
directed
use
the
that
film.
scene.
Is it just me, or did I hear a gunshot down there?
Okay, these are protagonists now.
Crazy, I hear the
They've got a case of like same voice syndrome.
We then meet our main characters, Brian and this guy who goes either by Jack or John. Another John, I know. And whilst on a walk, Jack falls down this massive cliff, which leads them to discovering a cave, which they decide to explore. This leads them to a secret entrance of Dr. James's lab, where they discover the aftermath of the battle.
My brother was killed. Ah! Jack!
He fell off.
Oh, how did I
L
not see
plus
that?
Geo.
I'm a little shaken, but I'm fine.
Shaken, not stirred.
See, I didn't tell you.
This Spanish. C. We need to find a way to this C.
I'm going further. And further. And further. See, there's nothing to worry about. What happened here? Looks as if these guys have had a game of Don't Waste to Die. You used to play Don't Waste to Die? Yep. That's a good game. I love that game too. I like Don't Waste to Die too.
Me making small talk with my barber. Jack discovers a machine called the Changifier, which he uses to alter his appearance. And he also finds a computer, which he takes a liking to.
So do you remember this origin?
I remember this.
I lost the character. The Playmobil character I used for Jack, I lost it somewhere down the couch or something. So I got the Changifier
The
as an
Changifier.
excuse why he's changed his appearance.
Are you okay?
It would not be limited to one sound if this was nuclear.
Okay. Zap me. Oh.
That's what you get for saying zap me.
Looks like David Bowie.
Brian.
The computer.
I found another Changifier.
Hello there. It was created by Dr. P. James.
Dr. P. James. They then discover the Geo, and the computer tells them that it's dying. However, she explains how to restore it. And she also finds that Brian used to be in a band.
Brian, catch this.
Why have you been so inhumane to the Geo?
My friends at my funeral playing with my corpse.
Okay, computer.
Legend has it this film inspired OK Computer by Radiohead.
I've never hooked a digital woman before.
I've never hugged any
I've never hugged a
one before.
real woman before.
I hate the subplot. There's like a relationship between John and
Yeah.
Sharon the computer. This is where AI is gonna get us digital.
It is predicting the future.
Oh, Brian was in the band called Shakin' Bacon. Wait, Brian, you were in Radiohead? Darn.
Wait, Brian, you were David Bowie?
Oh no.
Me when a family brings up one of my YouTube videos at a party.
When they find Cynthium.
Please don't kiss my kiss.
Please don't kiss my kids.
Diss
Is
my
it a song
kids.
to Michael Jackson?
Is it, please don't diss my kiss. That's
Oh.
sexual. Why is it froze? It's loading.
Loading screen of reality. Speaking of
I guess we just
Simpsons.
gotta wait.
Yeah. Just tell me when it's back on, I
Has
guess.
the internet gone off? What the hell? Oh. Maybe if I close it down and open it again. We'll go from 2 minutes. 3, 2, 1, go.
The Stormtrooper.
Star Wars.
This is Secret Agent John.
Another John. Was the guy at the very start working with David also called John? I think he is. I think there's 3 Johns.
Yeah. With the computer's help, the guys are able to repower the Geo. However, as soon as they do, an ominous timer appears, counting down from 24 hours. And then, the Stormtrooper, aka yet another John, arrives in the lab to collect the Geo's body for David. So, they hide. John demands to know where the Geo is, but the computer refuses to answer, so he destroys it.
Let's do this.
He's gonna,
Let's
he's
do
gonna,
it.
He's gonna speed run
Let's
it.
do it.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
I've
It's
done
alive.
it. I made the Geo.
That was an epic moment. What's that? A timer.
A timer.
It worked.
This stormtrooper's taking his time. he entered the building.
I think it was sweet as time.
Contacting Darth Vader.
You're of no use anymore.
Oh, I can find some use.
Call yourself a piece of technology.
You to the iPad when it freezes.
Me when the Wi-Fi says buffering.
To the base.
To the Death Star.
Jack mourns the loss of his new virtual lover, but Brian tells him he'd saved the memory card. So they take the Geo home and set up the computer.
Da-da-da-da. What is it? Well,
It's a letter of acceptance to Oxford University.
Is it angina diagnosis?
oh,
I think I'm going to
He
send my
changed
regards
again.
to the chef.
maybe you're right.
John's changed again.
Changed again?
Greetings. I am the computer. What can I do for you today?
Say,
Oh, you could have given me a heart.
gonna give me angina.
Hey, Sharon, how about we go on the internet?
Uh-oh.
Since David McCruel now knows that the Geo's missing, he puts out an advert telling the public that the Geo's very dangerous and any sign of his whereabouts needs to be reported to the police.
So, how dangerous would you say this is? We're not
Really
sure.
dangerous.
We're all gonna die.
Here is a picture of the Geo. If anyone has seen this, then please.
If anyone has seen this.
How weird would that be in real life? They put up a picture of a guy and they both go, this is the this is the Geo. If you've seen this, please contact us. It's extremely dangerous.
Ominous. That'd be ominous.
Would you?
Planet.
Planet?
Shut up. Has this had any like actual funny jokes so far? No.
Jack and Brian do their best to take care of the Geo despite not really knowing what he is, and they end up shouting about him, which their nosy neighbour Nelson overhears.
I said, can the Geo have a blanket? Can the Geo have a blanket? What on earth are they blabbling on about?
So he calls David, who comes over to their apartment in a full military setup.
Oh, the phone call. The phone call. We know what's coming.
No, this isn't a prank.
Iconic moment. I wasn't thinking it through when I filmed this scene, but he picks up the phone before he said anything. The like responder goes, "Is this a prank?" is that what they did? They get so many prank phone calls?
How's the search going, boss? Ugh, not good enough.
Really good.
Exceedingly well. Not good, but I'm going to keep a positive attitude. That's a Star Wars looking vehicle. This is Star Wars.
This is Star Wars. Do they sleep next to each other?
They're in separate beds, but they make sure to put them right
Next to each other.
Ooh, stop motion. Did you see that?
Yeah,
That was
it's good.
That was
it's good.
pretty ambitious.
So David turns up at their building at 3 a.m. and demands to be let in.
John, cut off their power.
John.
With pleasure, sir.
John does a lot of cutting. He cut the cord, he cut the power. What's he gonna cut next, eh? David's penis. David's what? What? David's what? Dick? Why would he cut a dick? Circumcision? Alright. Do it. If you don't open the door in 10 seconds, I'm gonna get circumcised. This better be good. This better be good. What? What the fuck? What the fuck? What the hell? Sorry. I'm sorry. I thought we were getting bombed. I thought David McCruel was here in real life. I thought the Geo was here. I was expecting the voice to say circumcise himself.
But Sharon the computer tells them that she has an idea, and using a voice changer and some sound effects, she's able to convince the police that she's an unhinged lunatic with a gun, and they decide to retreat for now.
I would leave now if I were you.
I'm sorry, but we need to.
He's reasonable. I'm sorry, but please let me in.
Who on earth do you think you're thinking to?
He messed it up. I bet he feels so embarrassed after that. He's really self-conscious. He's trying to keep his composure, but he's blushing. He's so embarrassed.
I forgot they had like an evil computer.
Evil computer.
Back at his base, McCruel finds out that Dr. James is actually alive and plans to hold him prisoner and torture him for information about how he created the Geo, because he plans to create an army of Geos of his own.
Are you sure the results are right? I was certain he had no pulse.
I was certain he had angina.
When he wakes up, interrogate him, poke his eyes.
Give him angina. Circumcise him. Do anything. Make him listen to Radiohead. David McCruel's a gentleman. You know? He is. Who respects women. We're not the Geo.
The next morning at the apartment, Sharon the computer somehow 3D prints a feast fit for a king.
Good morning, boys. I 3D
Bad
printed
morning,
this
boy.
breakfast.
You can't do that.
That's impressive.
She did.
Look at all this. Eggs, sausages, bacon.
That is a terrifying ability that she's got. She could just like 3D print a knife and kill them in their sleep. I've 3D printed a second Geo. Now you boys have one each.
I 3D printed the two of you.
The two of you were 3D printed by me.
3D printed. You just assume his gender.
Care to
2017.
comment on that joke?
Sit down with us and eat some breakfast.
Oh no, it was just coming off 2016. That was the humour. That was the political climate.
I
you
don't
know?
remember anything of that nuclear.
Why did they take the Geo home? I can't remember.
This
like-
guy's coming with me. Come upstairs with me, Gio.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. The way it hops after him, so obedient.
Bro,
Oh, he's got a hat like yours.
Does he?
How do you like it?
Yeah. It's you, literally
Me?
you.
I'm him for real.
It's the same colour.
Pharrell, that's something Pharrell Williams would wear.
Why has there been a
David
bite taken out of his hat?
McCruel.
Gio got hungry, guys. They really haven't like talked at all about what this thing is. They just took home a humanoid body from a lab and they decided it was cute and gave it a hat and now they're taking it to work.
Take your Geo to work, Dave.
Brian takes the Geo to his job at a radio station, but the Geo freaks out and runs away. Brian chases after him, but the Geo causes a trail of destruction throughout the city, causing Brian a lot of damage, both in fines and to his reputation.
He's got angina.
Spell change. Spell.
Me in the future.
Mario when the film doesn't do well.
Homeless
Why
Mario.
he literally is Mario. What is his anti-homeless problem?
He just kicked a homeless
He
man.
did. He literally just booted a homeless man.
Anti-homeless film.
Yeah.
Was Captain
Anti-women, anti-homeless.
I bet Brian funds those like homeless chairs that homeless people can't sleep in.
Back, Gio.
What? He doesn't have to go on the boat.
You get off the ship.
Get off the submarine before it goes to visit the Titanic.
Get off the Titan submersible, Brian. No. It's not safety regulated.
Oh, I need to find Gio. Wait, did he say Gio?
No. I
No.
don't think so.
No, I don't think so. He probably just said Joe. When they get back to the radio station, Brian yells at the Geo and punches him.
Don't touch me.
He got angina.
Punch the Geo. So he's kicked a homeless man. He's decked the Geo in the face.
He nearly killed people with a boat.
Brian is the villain. Brian and John are
David McCrull's not such a bad guy.
Wanted Geo. You know?
Yeah.
Mia's Onsen. Can that boost up the Mia's Onsen rating? Can I get a 10 out of 10?
Yeah, it's going from
please?
a 1 to a 2.
When they get home that evening, they find that the apartment's been ransacked, Jack's missing, and the computer is glitching. She tells them that a video has been stored onto her files.
Okay, now he's back to Jack. I feel sorry for when you do the character like images. It's like the picture of the character and the name. It's gonna be like Jack / John.
Yeah. Brian / Geo.
Me before when the film was buffering.
A video has been stored onto my files.
Uh-oh. Don't play it.
They get a video from David telling them that he's kidnapped Jack and that unless Brian hands in the Geo, he'll never see his friend again.
He filmed in vertical.
What loser.
You can tell he doesn't work in media. Imagine all the people. Imagine the Geo.
Living life in peace.
Listen, Brian, we need the Geo. If it's for good or bad, it doesn't matter.
Nobody with good intentions would say whether it's for good or bad.
This is like Dave's No More Mr. Nice Guy moment.
They then discover a beeping coming from the Geo, and the computer finds that he has a built-in self-destruct that will cause the Geo to explode in 3 hours. The Geo panics and runs away again, and Brian chases him. The Geo's instincts lead him to an abandoned house in the middle of nowhere, and Brian follows him inside. The Geo leads them out a secret exit in the back, which takes them to somewhere that he says he remembers coming with his dad. They then find out that this is the secret back entrance of David's base.
Here is the timer.
That's how long the film is. That's how long of the film we got left.
So the Geo's gonna blow up. My best friend's gonna die, and I'll be left alone to suffer the pain.
It's a genetically What's he doing?
Geo,
He's got angina.
back here.
It's always funny.
I'm asking you to stay not because I hate you, but because I love you.
He's been here less than 24 hours.
You beat him up.
He was unconscious for more than half of the time. And then you beat him. And now you love him? He shouted Geo in public again.
Did you get that sound effect? I did that myself.
I don't know. I can tell.
I'm a Foley artist.
Hello?
You're a phony artist.
I recognize this place.
What the hell? Glitch? The film itself is breaking.
My dad used to take me here. Your dad? What are you talking about, Geo?
But I never took you here.
No, I remember.
He's really took on the father figure role.
Since the Geo remembers coming here before, even though he has no memory of how or why, he's able to give the code to get them into the base. From there, they find the scientist monitoring the unconscious James. He spots them and tells them to stay still while he calls the police, but whilst he's not looking, they push him off the top. Brian wears the uniform of the scientist in order to blend in with the people that work there, and they pick up the unconscious James, who's now beginning to wake up, and the Geo says that this is his father. Brian explains how they found him and James unconscious in the lab, and explains that the Geo must be Dr. James's invention.
You could talk closer to Geo. Just kicks him in the face.
He causes.
He clearly could have walked around him. So, let me just squeeze past. Smashed his face into the ground.
He's got like
Whoops.
He's got spiky boots on. He's got big heavy boots on. With
He's got
spikes
Doc
on.
Martens on.
Stupid lift work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
He's gonna shoot. He just killed a man.
Brian thought his disguise as a scientist had been successful, but John tells David McCrull that they've snuck into the building. McCrull tells him that he's free to kill James or Brian, but to leave the Geo alive. With Dr. James now awake, they make their way over to the prison inside the base, where they find Jack tied up, and using the keycard that they'd stolen from the scientist, they're able to free him.
Dave.
Dave! Alvin! Geo!
We found the Geo.
ASMR.
We found the Geo.
Okay.
That's got to bump up the mise en scène score. I drew a map.
Fuck off about the mise en scène score.
I drew a map.
You did draw a map. I give you credit, you put more effort into this film than I did with
I
mine.
drew a little wanted Geo poster.
You
I drew
did?
a map. I did the 3D printed breakfast.
You did?
I did the Geo. I did David McCrew.
You made the Geo in real life.
I came up with the name David McCrew.
You got the Stormtrooper.
You're the real hero. You invented a masterpiece.
I'm sorry, you did what?
It's you.
Why did he call the Geo a masterpiece?
James thanks them for saving him and the Geo, and Brian helpfully omits the fact that they beat him. James finds out that they reactivated him by reconnecting him to the module, which will have triggered the nuclear energy inside him, meaning that the Geo could blow up with the force of a bomb. The only way to stop the countdown is with a special antidote at Dr. James's lab, but there's only 20 minutes left on the Geo's timer.
I reconnected it to the module.
You reconnected it to the module.
You did what?
Do you know what that means?
Okay, Professor.
Yeah, we're all gonna die.
It means the Geo's gonna.
We need to go. What is it, Doctor? Back at my secret lab, I've got a potion room.
I guess he's not just a scientist, he's a magician. He's a wizard.
McCruel sees them all on the security cameras heading for the exit. Meanwhile, the nuclear energy in the Geo's chest begins to become very painful.
He's through his latte.
Sir, be careful. You already smoked.
No more Mr. Nice McGraw. I'm no longer reasonable. I am irrational. Got angina. It's easy to name the characters who don't have anginas.
David McCruel doesn't have angina.
Oh yeah.
Should we go back down?
Have you ever had angina?
I've had random chest
You know what I
pain
mean?
before.
Like before I had it, it's like you try and breathe.
I've had chest pain.
You can't get the air in, your heart starts to, your chest muscles like cramp. It's not very nice.
It'd be funny if it was like a map of the body and it says your angina is here.
Tell what's wrong. It's the nuclear energy.
It's the
inside
angina.
It's causing him pain. You see, right now in the Geo's body, a ball of energy is floating around. This ball of energy is the nuclear.
That's good.
Cool effects, right?
It's gone. I'm sure you made that animation.
I did.
You made that graphic.
On Blender, yeah.
Yeah, that gives you a big bump in the mise en
Thanks.
scène
Thank
score.
you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The group are caught by the police, so they run away back upstairs, only to find David McCruel waiting for them. They were now trapped between the police downstairs and David upstairs. They managed to shoot their way out of there, but they were now stuck downstairs in the base. However, Dr. James tells them that there's a secret entrance from David's base into his lab, so he moves a gargantuan boulder out the way and they enter into James's lab. He begins preparing the antidote for the Geo, however, they're caught and ambushed by David's team.
You just move this massive rock out the way.
Jesus.
Oh.
And
You just move this massive rock out the way. Jesus being reborn. Who would you cast as David McCruel in a real life Geo? Who comes to mind?
What about the guy who plays Gus Fring?
Giancarlo Esposito.
Yeah.
Access granted.
He would make a good Dave McCruel. Who would be a good Geo? Chris Pratt.
Chris Pratt is
Chris
the
Pratt
Geo.
is the Geo.
So just as a reminder, here is a picture of the Geo. If anyone has seen this, then please report it to the services.
Charlie Day as James P. Dr. P. James.
Jack Black as Brian.
Epic formation.
Not really. Not really.
That's cooler than the nuclear formation. You said the one in nuclear was cool.
It was.
That's
They
beyond
just
epic.
stood in a group. It's not a cool formation.
They're stood in like a triangle.
No, that's not a triangle. That's a
It's like a-
rhombus.
It's a this shape, you know? Pyramid.
And if you leave,
No, I'll go through with that circumcision. I use the circumcision.
But it's
potion.
on himself, so how is it a threat?
McCruel orders them all to surrender and tells them that he'd planned this out from the beginning and that he lured them here all along. He tells them that he'd planted a bomb in James's lab, which means there's now two bombs, the one in the Geo and the one that David controls in the lab.
Somehow the computer is there, and then also the evil computer, and then a full fight breaks out.
Sharon, you came back.
I 3D printed myself.
What do you call something that's useless, broken, and can't be used anymore?
Kamikaze.
You're nuts. Ow! Ow!
Humour was going so down. Good. It would have been funnier if he said, "What's circumcised in 3 inches? Your dick." It's so mean-spirited coming from Jack out of nowhere. It's not even like to the main villain. It's just like some random guy. He's done his dick. That's what it's meant to be, right?
What do you mean?
Well, is that what's actually happening in the
He
film?
stood on his legs and he's cracking the bones.
Oh, he literally stood on his dick and has a
Are
cracking
you
joke.
dirty-minded?
I'm not.
What,
It's
you
like,
like...
Is this the part where somebody faints?
That's like a Marvel movie line.
yeah.
Say what? Can you repeat that, please?
The fight was now almost over, with David's team vastly outnumbering them. David starts living up to his name and starts kicking the Geo. James begs him to stop, prompting him to ask why he cares about the Geo so much. James tells everyone that the Geo is his biological son, causing everyone to fall into stunned silence. We then get a very emotional flashback scene where James describes his backstory. James had a family that he loved very much, a wife and a son, and also a promising career in science. When his career was just getting started, he began working with another scientist, David McCruel. His research into nuclear technology began leading him down some dark paths that he didn't want to explore, but unsurprisingly, David did, and so the company split. After stopping his work with David, James began to become very rich and successful, causing David's resentment of him to build. Years later, a tragedy befell the family as his wife and son were hit by a car. His wife had died, but his son clung to life. And so, with his grief, James found a way to save his son by building him a new body. So his son became the Geo.
It all happened back when I was an early scientist.
You ready for a flashback?
Yeah.
Ready to learn the truth
Yeah.
of the Geo?
Yeah. I'm glad we're nearly at the end.
My wife's name
He's so much taller than his wife.
It's just his gravity boots, though.
and we had those.
It's like a vanity thing.
Yeah.
We couldn't have asked for
We
Call
call our
him
son
the
the Geo.
We're on the same wavelength today. Fidget spinner.
This scientist was none other than David McCruel.
Doesn't look a day younger than he is now. He's aged like a fine wine. Like a fine fruit
Yeah,
shoot.
Just like Giancarlo.
We met in our lab,
Yeah.
and I agreed.
He's aged well, that man, I think.
Hmm. There's in Better Call Saul, which takes place before Breaking Bad. He's believable.
Yeah.
And the acting's so well that even though he's got a few more wrinkles, you'd still believe he's younger.
Yeah, he's in a
The-
Netflix series
the
called
performance-
Kaleidoscope.
Ah,
And he
ah.
plays scenes that take place over like 30 years. And it's believable.
Really?
Yeah?
No, like CGI or anything.
Well, a bit, yeah. But,
Yeah, is there a film on, by the way? I think there's a flashback on actually.
alright.
I think we should pay attention.
Eventually, when all of a sudden,
Uh
a
oh.
car came speeding past on a red light.
Wasn't that like Brian or something?
The person in the car's Jack/John. That was setting up for a sequel. When
Yeah.
they invent time travel, they go back in time to save the Geo, and they end up killing him in the first place.
Yeah.
Cool little Easter egg.
The Geo paradox.
My
Cruel me.
wife had died instantly. Told
Thank God.
the doctor said that it was time to cut the cord. Put him to sleep.
Take a guess which police decided to do that.
Should have 3D printed him.
Geo had become
Yeah, but he doesn't want to create a new son.
Tiny head, tiny head.
It's a big body, tiny head.
the Geo.
Looking like Kingpin.
Well, he wouldn't 3D print his son. He wants to keep the same son. That's the point. So
Well, the same son's
he's
half a
rebuild,
son.
he's rebuilding his body in the tank using his genetic engineering.
Hmm.
Or I guess the Geo's got the mind of a child then, because he was a child when he was run over. And
Yeah.
his body was rebuilt as like a young
That brings
adult.
into question many of the actions that have been taken.
David and James get into a brutal fight, resulting in David dropping the remote control for the bomb. Both of them scramble to pick it up, but before they can, the dog gets there first. Grunter. The dog presses the button, meaning that the lab will blow up in a few minutes. Everybody makes a dash for the exit, but they're blocked by David in his tank. He tells them that unless they kill Jack, Brian and James and bring him the Geo, then no one will be getting out alive. However, they refuse, so David picks up the gun himself, planning to kill them. However, before he can, he's ran over by one of his own men, Bob.
more like chest jumping, head jumping.
No wonder he's got angina. He's constantly standing on his chest.
Don't do this. Prepare to
Do
your
this.
end.
Death is yours.
On God!
Oh,
Mashallah.
Why would he say that? I want to try and pay attention. What's going on?
What the?
How funny. He's alive.
He's alive.
On God.
On God, David McCruel is still alive. That man just won't die. Once again, he commands his men to kill James, but they refuse, realising now what a monster he is. And so, he kills one of his own men. He points his gun at James and pulls the trigger, but his gun is out of bullets. David now has no one on his side and no way to hurt anyone. But in his last, vicious act, he finds the antidote, the only way to stop the Geo from exploding, and destroys it. The lab is now seconds away from exploding, and so everybody runs out, except David McCruel, who blows up and dies along with the lab. Goodbye, David McCruel.
No. He smashed the potion. The
antidote.
This is... I'm not even shocked anymore. Why did we decide to say that at the same time? We're just the same brain.
We're both 3D printed.
We're
Clones of one another.
It's more stop motion.
Coming
I'm
down
like-
the cave.
Ray Harryhausen up in this house.
What?
Ray Harryhausen? It's like an anime. It's like a stop motion
I
anime.
don't know who he is.
You know, like the... What, there was something in the Argonauts?
I'm trying to watch the film. Yeah, this is Delusions.
Well, goodbye, Dave McCruel.
So sad.
Photorealistic explosion.
The Geo's now in a lot of pain and doesn't have much time left at all, and if he explodes here, he could kill everyone. So, John offers them a ride in his helicopter, and they all hop in to fly the Geo to a safe location. James insists on staying with the Geo, saying that he'll stay with his son. So, they say their goodbyes and fly away.
what's wrong?
I got angina. Oh, let's see, I rendered more of this animation.
Yeah.
Pat on the back for me. Pat on the back for me.
So the antidote would have
Oh,
stopped him
look.
exploding.
They just took the hats off and salute. I will do the same
Quiet place where no people are around.
for the Geo.
You're there.
So the antidote would have stopped the Geo exploding.
I'm coming too.
But in a fit of like, in like his final like bad act, Dave broke the
Yeah.
antidote. It's like, if I can't have it, no one can.
Mm.
No, Dave's
It.
dead. What do you mean it? It's an antidote.
No, like, if I can't have the Geo, no one can.
Well, no, he doesn't want the Geo. He wants. Well, he wants the Geo.
He does want the
He
Geo,
wants
because he wants to make an army.
Okay.
Oh yeah. You know the film better than me.
Garden!
There, guys.
Garden. Always got to have a
I
garden.
love a garden scene.
Calm down, Gio. It's fine.
It's not fine, he's gonna die.
If less than a minute left of Geo, as in the character, not the film.
If only.
The character Geo.
Hurry up, guys. He's gonna blow.
Marvel dialogue.
Ian, now.
Did that just happen?
Yes. The lab is yours.
It's definitely been a minute.
Goodbye.
Hang on. This is a plot like hole I never realised. James just inherited the lab to Brian. James said you can have the lab. The lab exploded with Dave in it, so He's inherited a bunch of rubble.
They were told that the Geo's explosion would put anyone in a 5-mile radius in danger, and they had less than a minute to escape. So as quickly as they can, they fly away in the helicopter. James spends the final few moments with his son. The timer runs out on the Geo, and he explodes.
Do you think this is such a bittersweet ending?
Yeah.
It's a real moment.
I reckon that'd take out more than 5-mile radius.
That means it's a tragic ending. They underestimated how big the bomb is.
They underestimated the Geo.
Yeah, that's more than 5 miles. I think a lot of millions of people might not be alive anymore. Oh, Nelson, no! No!
Nelson. Oh, going back up.
It's meant to cut that. It's not meant to go back up. Imagine if the bomb footage reversed.
Just sucked back in.
The Geo's reforming.
You're right.
It's the end. No credits. No dance scene at the end.
That's it?
I mean,
That was a heavy ending.
from that montage with the nuclear bomb, presumably other people died, right?
I would guess.
We saw the effects of we saw Nelson's house fall
Mm.
and then rise again.
Yeah!
Geo.
I've got misophonia.
What?
I've got misophonia.
What's misophonia?
So, like, hatred of chewing. I'm in so much pain.
Well, that's it.
Okay, so now's the part of the video where I review the film, give my thoughts on it, give it some scores. And, of course, starting off with plot. It's going to get a solid 7 from me. The plot, I would say, was pretty strong. There were 1 or 2 moments where actions taken by the characters were a little bit questionable. There were a couple of very minor plot holes, like James gifting them the base that had just exploded. But I'm nitpicking there. Overall, the plot was strong. I have to give big respect to the film for finishing on a bittersweet ending, as opposed to all my films that finish with a dance party, Despicable Me style. And then the reveal that the Geo is James's son, as well as his backstory, it was genuinely emotional and well done. So, plot is strong. Okay, so next up is voice acting and characters. So, first off, as Joel pointed out, the 2 main characters did have a bit of same voice syndrome. They sounded very similar. It was clear enough who was speaking, but I would say generally across all the characters, they all had very similar voices. Joel didn't really attempt doing different voices for the characters, but what I will say in the voice acting is that the emotion, the delivery of lines, it was generally very good. And even though it's quite funny that his name is David McCruel, and it's really funny how polite he is in the first half of the film, David was actually a very good villain. I like how just purely evil he is, and the facade falls away over the film, and he's genuinely quite intimidating by the end. So, overall, I'm going to give the characters a 6. Next up, we got the pacing, and I don't have a ton to say about it, but it is definitely paced a lot better than my films. Coming from Nuclear to this is like a blessing. But no, Geo is over 2 hours long, and I can't pretend that every single moment is completely gripping or that nothing ever goes on too long. But the pacing is decent. It's a 6 out of 10. Sound and editing. Again, it's edited a lot better than any of my films were. I made most of mine before I knew how to edit, whereas Geo was made on the scale of our films a bit later. So things like the stop motion really enhance the film. And again, there's very small things that I could nitpick, like the building coming back up like it was being reborn and summoned from the dead. But the editing is pretty good, as is the sound. It's a solid 7 out of 10. The humour is not good. The only joke that lands is Brian and Jack walking into a lab, seeing what they would assume is 2 corpses on the floor and saying, "Looks like they had a game of Dumb Ways to Die." That's a banger of a joke, to be fair. Although, even then, it's hard to tell if it's intentional or not. Other than that, the film, I'm sorry to say, it wasn't funny. I don't want to mark it down too much because, overall, it's kind of a somber film, and in tone, the ending's pretty sad. It really wasn't a time for cracking jokes. But that being said, the humour gets a 4 out of 10 from me. Last but not least, we got the mise en scène score. And to be fair, Joel puts a lot more effort into this than me. He's somebody who will dress a scene up nice, make sure that the setting looks good. I'm just going to slap the camera down and do some filming. So as a result, this film's sets, they're good. David's base, James's lab, the apartment, the Geo, only kidding. The final scene in the garden, we love a garden scene. Outside always adds like a lot more realism in a way, a lot more atmosphere. There were some good sets. I have no complaints. It's going to get an 8 out of 10 from me. So overall, the film's going to get a 38 out of 60 from me. Pretty good, big step up from Nuclear, and that's everything I have to say. So thank you for watching. Go subscribe to Joel, who made this masterpiece, just like the Geo's a masterpiece. And I'll see you in the next video. I've never hugged a real woman before.